Okay, at this point, I'd like to have our zoning committee chairperson, Gary Walterson, if you want, and there's Chris Schneider. So Gary, if you take over your place.
Thank you. A few weeks back, I met with Mr. Schneider, who is the, I'm gonna forego what the title is, I apologize. County Planning and Zoning. For the purposes of looking at a more comprehensive zoning ordinances. And what I mean by that is that Cleves has its own ordinances and so forth, but we want to incorporate Hamilton counties as well. And they worked with North Bend, I believe, is that correct? To do a comprehensive gap analysis, and that was to isolate and identify in their ordinances what was lacking and mirror Hamilton County. So they've offered to do the same for Cleves and do that gap analysis, which takes about a year or thereabouts. It's pretty comprehensive. They take a look at ours, they take a look at theirs, and they merge them into a more comprehensive zoning ordinance. And I think that's going to be ideal, obviously on the heels of the zoning and appeals board. Make Cleves ordinances more all-encompassing. And I invited Mr. Schneider to come this evening to talk briefly about that. So, sure. If you'd like to step up.
Yeah, doesn't matter where I sit.
Usually,
I'll stand up, no problem.
So again, thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Chris Schneider, I'm Planning Services Administrator with Hamilton County Planning and Development. So, a couple years ago, the Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission been hearing from a lot of communities that their zoning codes were really old. In the 1960s, even the 1970s, right? That still had issues that aren't relevant today. They're still regulating things that don't exist. And more importantly, they're not regulating things that exist today. So like Airbnb type rentals or food trucks and some more modern type activities that are occurring that just are silent in the current. So the Regional Planning Commission hired a consultant to create what we call the model zoning code. It's essentially just a model zoning code that can be implemented by various communities who are interested in incorporating that. And so we've been working over the last, 6-8 months with North Bend and Fairfax, kind of the guinea pigs, if you will, of this process in their communities. And that process has looked like meeting with them several times, multiple times for that process, looking at their current code, identifying what's missing, what really needs to be in a code of today's standard, and then merging the two together. What the result is isn't a Hamilton County code that Cleves has. It's a Cleves zoning code. That's what would be happening. It'll be the North Bend zoning code that they get. And so we're happy to help North Bend, Fairfax, and as we kind of roll through this process, other communities in Hamilton County that are interested in this process. And so this new model code it's very user friendly, has lots of images, lots of graphics. Older codes are really word heavy. So you're trying to understand what's the height of a building when it says it's all written out in a paragraph form, when it's much easier if there's just a picture of a building that shows most people are visual. So using lots of images and graphs, lots of charts, condensing things. But ultimately, it would be the village's zoning code when it's finalized. It's not Hamilton County code, it's something the village, North Bend, Fairfax, when they're ready to finalize that building for them. So we're in the process right now of wrapping up North Bend and Fairfax, probably a couple months away from that. And then when that will wrap up those two communities, we will have capacity as our staff to begin exploring other communities who are interested in this process. And so Mr. Walters asked, and Mayor Burkle has asked me to attend tonight, just to give a brief overview of that and help answer any questions that council might have. Yes.
You still have the autonomy to alter down the road, correct? It's our code, so we can make addendums or changes to it, correct?
Absolutely. And still be, managed by the village. In North Bend's case, they actually contract with Hamilton County for their zoning, but their council are the ones who make the final decisions on any changes to their code.
Is there a cost involved?
No cost. So that's a positive. It's just a service that the regional planning commission and the planning partnership are providing to communities who need it. That kind of the part of being no cost is, we were able to do only 2 at a time, and it's just gonna take time to get through all of them, so, but, yes.
How long does this process take usually?
North Bend and Fairfax are the first 2 that we were doing, and we're wrapping up, and we probably began, August of last year. So it's taken them about 8 months to really go through the entire process. We figured out what we're doing through this process, so it might not take quite that long, because we're
Learning as you go.
yeah, exactly. Working out of Cleves, we have our staff they're the zoning officials at Hamilton County are currently going word by word through the model to make sure that, like, what are the unintended consequences of what is the code, right? We don't want to do something that's not good, so just double check. So by the time we get done with these 2 communities, that process will be done. So hopefully it'll be much more smooth and easy for future communities.
If you identify what we don't have in this gap analysis, what I call gap analysis, say, for example, the Airbnb, do we need an ordinance then to incorporate that, or if they locate 30, 40, even 50 or more, can it all be done under one ordinance to make it one comprehensive for Cleves, or they all have to be introduced individually?
I think you would adopt the whole new code that they put together.
Yeah, so
relatively.
I don't know the details on like ORC requirements and how zoning code is adopted, because we haven't quite gotten there yet with these things. But there's gonna be a process of eventually, hopefully, North Bend and Fairfax saying, their councils saying, the current code is no longer in, the new code is in, there's an approval and adoption. I don't know what that process looks like, but it's something along those lines. You have a question?
As far as our zoning map, would you say have anything to do with the zoning map at all? Or was that something Cleve's gonna have to do as far as correcting the zoning map?
We could talk about updates to the zoning map. Typically, with this process, we're trying not to do map amendments related to the zoning. We would have to match up the current zones with the model code and do an analysis of that. And if, we determine like there's discrepancies there, then that's a conversation to have on how to deal with that.
Any other questions?
Can you give an example of something they dropped or added? And your early adopters, what didn't you plan for that they thought was interesting or they weren't interested in?
I don't know if there was anything that we hadn't already considered that when we presented it, but food truck regulations are a popular item to have, specifically around the time and the location, where they're at, how long they can be there. The second, like accessory dwelling units, like having a second smaller house above the garage in the backyard kind of thing, and allowing that or not allowing that. It's really up to the community to decide if that's what they want or don't want. We're just here to provide you with some guidance on that language and what it could look like, and then ultimately we have the community to decide if we want that or we don't want that. But it needs to be regulated in some way. And then North Bend has a unique riverfront zone that nobody else has, and so that's kind of a little wrinkle in the North Bend model code, is that they're going to end up having this unique riverfront park zone in their code that is really going to be just specific to that.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to answer your questions later. I'm not sure.